G'day YouTube, Warbles on a lot here, and as you can see I have need of some new floorboards. Some of these are in really sad condition. Although considering that they've done 25 years in service, they're not doing too bad, particularly these ones up here, because by the time I was making these ones I sort of knew what I was doing. Whereas when I was making these, not only have they been exposed the longest, but I was so pleased with myself that I was prepared to use little short lengths, anything rather than waste a bit of wood. These boards here, they actually came from a sawmill. These ones, as you can see, they came off a circular saw. They were fence palings, 4 inches by half an inch. But some of them, particularly here where I do the washing of clothes, they could be replaced. And one of the after effects of spending $900 on tree surgery to remove dead trees is that I've got quite a few trunks that might not be too bad as saw logs. So, having already put in a little bit of work, taken off the unnecessary excrescences, set up the sawmill, now the idea here will be to try and cut down that vertical crack, and the blade of the saw in theory should go through that nail mark, which is where I had the string line attached in order to align the pieces. For those who care, it's a Stihl 038 Magnum running an Oregon 36-inch bar with a brand new 115 tooth chain. I have been asked about my skid lid, such being the oldie Australian word for a helmet. It too is a Stihl, given to me for a birthday, or perhaps it was Father's Day, by my son. Looks like made in 2017. So we'd be talking 3 years ago, made in the 5th, 2017, so probably a Father's Day present. And yes, it has a lamb's wool sweatband, and if they were to do the job properly, they would sell the things with 2 lamb's wool sweatbands, so that when the one gets dirty and sweaty and wet and smelly, you could pull it out and replace it with the clean one and stick the dirty one in the wash, and then you'd have a clean one ready to go for next time. But that's not what they do. They just sell them with one. So in the theory, I'm going to start this chainsaw, and I've pre-warmed it, and then I'll just raw straight down here and cut this log into 2. That is the theory. I do a second pass, because it's a new chain, I'm going to have to tighten the chain. That doesn't need to go into the video. Okay, done. Now I'll see if I can finish the cut without dangling the chainsaw in the rocks. Right, that wasn't too bad actually, for an old bugger. Okay, and now for my next trick, I will stop the camera while I get set up for the next cut. I've halved it, now I've got to quarter the log into billets. String line and nail shows where to place and mark the positions for the guide rail bolts, and then we drill the holes. The old-fashioned way. And I've got to do 3 of these, so I'll spare you the time watching. Okay, once again, the idea is not to drag the saw in the dirt and rock. Right, I think I might have dipped the end in to the rocks just for a bit at the end. But no, the answer is the cross log saved it. Once more, under the breech. Okay, done. For the day anyway. And now, having effectively taken off the end caps, which would allow this to dry out from the freshly cut ends, what I've done here, by cutting it into quarters, it means that as the wood shrinks, and it shrinks along the growth rings, the quarter cut faces can be pulled together, and that should ideally prevent cracks like that from happening. But you know, you can't stop all of them, particularly in something like this, which like these has died standing up. So this one will probably go as firewood because it's such a short little straight length in there. This one is also a fairly short length from there to there, and it's hollow and rotten, so that's not worth sawmilling, so that will go as firewood. But this one, I'm not really going to know until I fell it and see what I've got when I can see the ends. But this might just possibly become the 4 uprights of a tower on which to mount a wind turbine. Because with this Rip King guide rail setup, there is no theoretical limit beyond the length of the tree as to how many times a guide rail can be unbolted and connected onto another one, and so on and so on and so on. But at the moment, my current personal best record is 24 feet for chainsaw milled 4x2 stringy bark. I think they call those things purlins in the building trade. So that may be the projected fate of that dead tree, for which I must admit I did buy the brand new chain, and this little exercise, apart from hopefully going to yield me some brand new floorboards with the next day's work, I'll consider it as practice in sawmilling. For one who hasn't done any for about 5 years, maybe 6. I think the last bit of sawmilling I did was the tree that fell on my front gate. And that was about the time my son had bought his business and he was flying off to Perth to buy a second-hand workshop truck. So yeah, haven't done any sawmilling for 6 years, but I haven't forgotten how to do it either. Warbles not a lot to YouTube. Ciao.